It's commonly known that the Sicilian faction of the Gambino family has reconnected their once severed ties to Sicily. For example, in the early 2000s, there was Operation Newbridge involving renewed alliances between the Gambino family and the Sicilian Mafia. That case involved Frankie Cali, who was dubbed the Gambino ambassador to the Sicilians. Cali pled guilty on June 4, 2008, received a 10-month sentence, and was released in 2009. By 2012, Cali would be elevated from a captain's position to underboss of the Gambino family. Around the same time, Cali, along with his brother-in-law and fellow Gambino member, Pietro Torpedinzerillo, would forge a new alliance. This time, it would be with the ndrangheta, and they would accomplish this through an associate named Franco Lupoi, who was on record with the Gambinos as an associate of Torpedes, and was close to Cali as well. In fact, Lupoi traveled outside the United States with Cali back in 2005. Lupoi being a Gambino associate is somewhat surprising, since his family members are all ndrangheta members. His father-in-law, Nicola Simonetta, and cousins, Vincenzo Pirelli and Francesco Orsino, who presently is the head of the Orsino clan, which most of his family members belong to. At the time, Lupoi was the owner of the Royal Crown Bakery on 14th Avenue in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. And in 2012, he became the focus of a 2-year investigation by a joint collaboration between the FBI and Italian law enforcement. That operation was named Newbridge. In essence, Lupoi used his connections in an effort to link his Gambino associates to the ndrangheta in Calabria, Italy, as well as creating a heroin pipeline from Italy to New York. Unbeknown to Lupoi, he was finished even before he got started. The FBI had in place an undercover codenamed Jimmy in his company. And as the story unfolds, unlike the ndrangheta, the Gambino family managed to stay off the radar. It all began with Lupoi looking to broker drug deals, and naturally the undercover was a willing customer. In February 2012, Lupoi had a discussion with the undercover about marijuana. He explained that through a cousin of his in Canada, he could import 300 pounds a month. On March 30th, 2012, he sold the undercover 5 pounds for $3,800. Lupoi, wanting to make more money, mentioned moving heroin to the undercover as well. In April of 2012, Lupoi disclosed to the undercover his father-in-law's contacts, which would help create a heroin pipeline. His father-in-law, Nicola Simonetta, would be visiting from Italy that month. Lupoi set up a meeting between the three men. A day before Simonetta arrived, Lupoi explained to the undercover his father-in-law's history. Simonetta had been convicted in Canada and Italy for drug trafficking and received 14 years in Canada and 10 years in Italy back in the 80s. On April 20th, 2012, Lupoi and the undercover met his father-in-law in Brooklyn to go over their plans. Simonetta told the undercover, "I know people over there, okay? Friends of mine. I can ask him what he can do with this, but this is nothing to talk on the phone. I'll be leaving in a week or so. I can talk to these people and ask how you're going to do it." After his father-in-law left, Lupoi told the undercover, personally, he's got a good hook with the person at the port. The undercover replied, "Perfect, okay." Lupoi continued, "It's in Giotaro. It's one of the largest ports in Europe right now. It's in Calabria, and it's a financiere. It's what are they here? Not the IRS. Who are the people who inspect all the undercover interjected, like customs?" Lupoi changed the subject. "This is the way I brought it up. I have a good friend of mine who want to get more contacts in Europe. Now, of course, contacts, not candy store pizzeria. He owns a restaurant there. I made him understand what contacts. And he said he's got a very, very good hook himself. Of course, he's not alone. He's got people." The undercover replied, "Right, absolutely." Lupoi said, it's what you said." The undercover said, "Like a customs guy." To which Lupoi replied, "One of the head customs." "Nice," said the undercover. Lupoi told him, let's say maybe he can guarantee 10 containers, or he can guarantee 7. And he told me straight out Coke. The undercover strategically asked, "What about bringing stuff here?" Lupoi responded, "I told him, I made him understand. Arms, I said sometimes heroin." The undercover replied, "Yeah, heroin and guns." Lupoi explained that they would both need to travel to Italy to further discuss the port. In July of 2012, both men traveled to Italy. They were supposed to meet with the contact at the port, but the guy became cautious and changed his mind about meeting. On July 26, 2012, the undercover was returning back to the United States. Lupoi met him at the airport in Reggio Calabria and gave him a sample of heroin. Lupoi remained in Italy for a little longer. During July and August, he was recorded on the phone with the undercover discussing the purchase of heroin. and its safe passage through the port of Giotaro. Lupoi told him it would cost $200,000 for the passage of unlimited containers. On August 20th, 2012, the undercover returned to Italy to purchase heroin. He paid $30,000 to Lupoi's cousin, Francesco Rossino, for 1.5 kilos. On September 12, 2012, Lupoi told the undercover he had contacts in Guyana and could arrange a shipment of cocaine packed in frozen fish. The fish would then be shipped to Italy. The drugs would be coming from his friend with the Mexican cartels, Jose Alfredo Garcia. On October 8, 2012, Lupoi met with the undercover to discuss the plan for the cocaine shipment. He explained that each fish contained 100 to 200 grams, and it would take a day for the fish to thaw. As for the undercover's cut, he told him not to worry. We're dealing with the Italian mob. Around November 12th to the 19th of 2012, the ndrangheta purchased $1 million worth of cocaine from Guyana. That same month, Malaysian authorities seized a container filled with millions of dollars of cocaine hidden in liquid coconut milk. The coconut milk was believed to have come from the New Soko Enterprise Fruit Canning Company in Georgetown, Guyana. On December 1st, 2012, a meeting took place at a Dunkin' Donuts in Manhattan between Lupoi, the undercover, Jose Alfredo Garcia, and Lupoi's Chinese connection, Alexander Chan. Besides the drug business, Chan owned a successful construction company, Dream Homes, Inc. They were discussing the plans for the shipment of cocaine. After that meeting, there were several more meetings, emails, and phone calls, all of which were recorded. Rafael Valente was a member of the ndrangheta who created his own clan while living in New York. In a recorded conversation with Andrea Mimolo, a fellow member in Italy, Valente told him how they were armed to the teeth. He also spoke about St. Michael, the patron saint of ndrangheta. Supposedly, members of Valente's clan wore St. Michael's rings as a sign of allegiance. As a result of Garcia and Chan not expediting the cocaine deal, Valente was recorded threatening them both. On January 9, 2013, Lupoi sold the undercover another sample of heroin for $1,000. On March 30, 2013, the undercover met with Lupoi in Brooklyn, and Lupoi gave him another sample of heroin. Then he handed the undercover his cell phone, which had Chan on the other line, and Chan explained to the undercover that the heroin came from him. On April 10, 2013, Lupoi and the undercover met with Chan, who sold the undercover 1.3 kilos of heroin. On May 4, 2013, a meeting took place between Valente and the undercover. At one point, Valente told him about all the firearms he had, including a silencer-equipped handgun. On January 23, 2014, the undercover asked Lupoi if Valente would sell him a silencer. On January 31, 2014, the undercover met with Lupoi and Valente at Lupoi's bakery in Brooklyn. Valente gave him a handgun and a silencer and demonstrated how to attach the silencer, which he charged him $5,000 for. They told the undercover that they wanted to purchase hundreds of weapons that they planned to ship to Italy. Valente mentioned that he had $1 million in counterfeit money to sell and gave the undercover a counterfeit $100 bill. Valente was a key player and was described as the glue between the ndrangheta and the Gambinos. In early February 2014, Lupoi sold the undercover a sawed-off shotgun. As to all the money they were making, it was being laundered by Charles Santero, the former driver for Bonanno acting boss Vinny TV Badalamenti, and Christos Fazarakis, a manager at the Alma Bank in Brooklyn. Fazarakis supposedly laundered $600,000 in cashier checks. On February 11, 2014, the Eastern District of New York unsealed a 15-count indictment, charging 7 people with narcotic trafficking, money laundering, and firearm offenses. Lupoi, Valente, and everyone involved were arrested. On that same day in Italy, 17 people linked to ndrangheta were arrested as well, including Lupoi's father-in-law and cousin. Besides the damaging evidence the undercover had against the defendants, they had bigger problems. 3 of the co-defendants began cooperating with the government: Alexander Chan, Jose Alfredo Garcia, and Christos Fazarakis. Consequently, Lupoi pled guilty to conspiracy to money laundering and heroin trafficking and received 13 years. Valente would receive 3 years for weapon charges. And in 2016, he was extradited to Rome, Italy, on an international arrest warrant for Mafia association and drug trafficking. Noticeably, the 2 people who were not arrested and definitely reaped the benefits of this international drug ring was Frankie Cali and Tall Pete, who both were smart enough to watch from the sidelines and under no circumstances met with the undercover.